The Blue Jays jumped on Jorge López early as the Orioles fell to the Blue Jays in Buffalo 10-5. And we're breaking it all down here on MASN All Access Xtra as we're joined by Jim Hunter. And Jim, Jorge López has had some moments after the Orioles acquired him mid-season, but then he has some starts like these where he can't get out of the third inning and is charged with 8 earned runs in this one.
Yeah, it seemed like he wasn't even pitching backwards. He didn't seem to have an idea of what he wanted to go with, so the Blue Jays hitters would have to respect the out pitch that would then follow. His other problem is the pitcher's worst nightmare, Paul. You know, he was missing in the happy zone in the brief time he was in there. And if you look down, he faced 16 batters, 10 of them reached and 8 scored. So obviously he was around the plate too often. You know, he's a guy that relies on the breaking ball. He's a guy that relies on the changeup. And that's fine because we're told and we've seen that he has a good one. However, you got to have enough command of your fastball to be able to get ahead with that fastball and then use the other pitches. If the hitters can begin to eliminate pitches because they know you're not going to throw for strikes, it's going to be a tough outing. And, you know, the Blue Jays still have a lot to play for now with 2 games to go. So I wasn't surprised to see how they came out aggressive and how they pounded him early on.
Thomas Eshelman had 4 innings of relief. And then Brandon Klein came in, a guy who has spent time between Bowie, the alternate site, and Baltimore. What did you see from him tonight, lowering his ERA to under 2, 180 so far on the season, granted in some limited action?
You know, the thing with Brandon, and as you mentioned, the up and down, that is so frustrating for young players because they're trying to gain some kind of consistency and get into a routine with the major league club. That's what it's all about. You want to be in the major leagues. But I'm impressed that it hasn't affected him mentally. You know, every time he's gone up, he's taken the ball, he's gone in there. And I was very impressed in the 7th inning when he was brought in. There's a runner at second base. There's nobody down. He not only retired 3 in a row and didn't allow that inherited runner to score, the inherited runner never left second base where he was when Brandon. No doubt about it. I mean, all the injury history he had in the minor leagues with the Tommy John twice and then the cleanup of the elbow. He has the stuff, but with him, it's so important about the command because when he throws strikes, I mean, that splitter he had tonight was just absolutely nasty. He also has a breaking ball. And if he could throw enough strikes, the hitters have to respect the 95 to 97 on a hot night. And if he can get ahead and make them respect the splitter and the breaking ball, he is definitely a weapon for next year. And it's kind of interesting watching him since he came up and made his debut. It's always been the same story with him. When he has his command, he's as good as anybody out there. But when he doesn't have his command and the hitters can eliminate pitches, he's easy to predict and they go after that. But I was very impressed the way he came in tonight. He settled down that inning, then got through the 8th without allowing a run. And again, he's one of these guys that looking ahead to next year, you have to count for a spot in that bullpen simply because of the raw ability and the talent that he has.
And on the offensive side, the Orioles did hit a few solo homers in this one coming from Ramon Urias, his first big league homer, quietly having a pretty solid rookie season, now hitting .381, a multi-hit game yesterday in Fenway. What have you seen from Urias, and do you think he's a candidate to stick with this team long term?
Well, he probably is if you're looking in a utility role. I mean, you know, let's be fair, and I applaud the fact that he's taking advantage of the playing time. But if Iglesias' legs were in a little bit better shape and he could play shortstop, he's as good a shortstop as there is in baseball, all 30 teams. And he'd be getting most of the reps at shortstop. But again, you got to look at a guy who's being given a chance to show what he can do. And all he can do is go out and perform as he's performing. Now, that home run he hit was pretty impressive because he hit it the opposite way towards right center field, and the ball just kept on going. But I like the fact that he makes contact. I like the fact that he tends to use the whole field. And for a guy like him, who I guess is regarded as a line drive hitter that occasionally has pop, as we saw tonight, that's the best way to succeed, where you're not predictable and you use the whole field. You look to barrel up the ball and go with the pitch. But you got to admire a guy who really before this season who had heard of this guy, and he's been up and down, as you said, Paul, and he's taken advantage of it. So kudos to him, and kudos to Brandon Hyde for giving him the chance. And, you know, down the stretch, hey, let's see what we have with this kid, because, again, the planning is already underway for next year.
And another rookie who had a good night, did not hit a homer, but had 2 hits and a walk, Ryan Mountcastle. He has been so impressive at the plate. What was making him so effective tonight and really this entire 2020 season at the dish?
You know, the thing that I see as I watch him more and more, and it's kind of interesting because one of the things that was said about him, why he was not going to be in the big leagues, and this goes back before COVID to the original spring training, the Orioles wanted him to work on his strike zone discipline and his pitch awareness. And that's one of the things that I look at him now, and I think that's a strength. I mean, here's a guy who can go from 1 and 2 to get the count full, foul off a good pitcher's pitch, and then get a pitch to handle and put it in play. And that is the number one thing about a major league hitter to have any kind of consistency. You have to be able to put the ball in play, because if you do, good things can happen. And the thing about him that I also noticed, and this I guess goes along with being able to understand what is his strike zone and picking out a good pitch, is that he doesn't seem to mind if he's behind in the count. You know, young hitters sometimes, if they get to 1 and 2, it's like, uh-oh, you know, here we go, what's coming now? It doesn't seem to bother him at all. He seems to have the same calm, very confident approach that, okay, I'm behind in the count, let's pick out a good one, hope I don't miss it, and put a good swing on it. And again, he's this year's Trey Mancini. You and I have talked about this quite a bit. There are so many base hits out there in right field, and he had another one tonight. And as long as you continue to do that, you're going to be able to pick out more and more good pitches to hit, because he is certainly that kind of hitter. And again, let's not forget what Toronto has to do this weekend. Coming into this weekend, if they sweep the Orioles and somehow the Miami Marlins sweep the Yankees, the Toronto Blue Jays take second place in the division and drop the Yankees into the wild card. The Blue Jays know that, and they'd much rather be the number 2 seed than the number 5 or 6 seed. So it's going to be interesting to see. I know John Means goes tomorrow, and you know Keegan Aiken on Sunday wants to end with a good one. But it's kind of a little bit of a subplot. And the last I checked, the Yankees were trailing late in the game in New York against the Miami Marlins. So we'll see what happens. But this is a good test the next couple of days for the Orioles, because the Blue Jays have clinched, but they have so much more to play for, because seed as opposed to the wild card going into the postseason. And the Orioles will have a lot to say about that, as will the Miami Marlins in that other series.
Absolutely. You better believe those Blue Jays want to knock the Yankees down just a peg. And also consider the fact the Orioles have been playing against some pretty stiff competition, as is the case every year within their own division. So would be nice if John Means could get a win tomorrow and the Orioles could take at least one of these 2 final games up in Buffalo. But Jim Hunter, thanks so much for hopping on MASN All Access Extra. We appreciate your analysis as always.
All right, Paul, anytime. Glad to be with you.